Good morning, YouTube. Today we're going to talk about consigning supercars.
So are you recording all of the nefarious activities?
If you're new to the channel, my name is Dan, this is my garage, and this channel is all about the supercar ownership experience. And one of the things that we talk about a lot on this channel is buying or selling supercars, because a lot of what I do is helping people buy or sell a supercar. And as you're gonna see during this conversation, there's a few reasons why I think hiring someone like me doesn't necessarily have to be me. Someone who does what I do is really beneficial and worth every penny. And here's why: because I've helped people buy or sell over a couple hundred supercars now. So I've been involved in lots of transactions, seen lots of things, talked to lots of dealerships, and even helped negotiate deals. So generally speaking, when I help people out, I can make sure that they save more money or potentially get a better deal and make sure that they're not getting screwed. And that's one of the things that I really concern myself with is, do I feel comfortable with this deal? And the best part is, because you're paying me in these particular cases, I don't have any emotional investment in the car itself. I am your employee, so to speak, so I am there to make sure that you get the best deal, you don't get screwed, you don't have to worry about the little stupid details. So if you think I can help you out with your buying or selling supercar needs, visit my website, normalguysupercar.com, check out my consultation services. And if you happen to already have a supercar and need some parts for it, again, go check out my website, normalguysupercar.com, use the code NGS10, and it'll hook you up with 10% off almost everything I sell. We've got the shop dog Mo with us today. Mo, what you doing, huh? What you doing, buddy? You just kind of walking around smelling stuff? Okay. So over the past week, I've been dealing with the CNC Motors fiasco, I guess is a good way to say it. And it's consumed a lot of my time. And at the same time that this was going on, I still have consultations going on. And believe me, all of my current consultations were all asking the same thing. How do I know I'm okay with the current situation that I'm in? And one of them is a consignment deal. They are buying a consignment car. So I guess I really want to talk about two aspects of this. The first one is selling your car on consignment with a dealership. And the second one is if you're buying a car that is on consignment at a dealership. So let's talk about, should you sell your car on consignment at a dealership? And I'll be honest, I actually didn't really know much about this. I've bought cars on consignment, but I've never consigned a car before. And after having discussions with various different people, all these people who have been sending me instant messages and DMs and emails about this CNC motor stuff, and I even had a lengthy conversation with a lawyer who specializes in this sort of stuff. And basically, once I kind of compiled all the data, my opinion is that you should never consign your car, period. Don't do it. And there's a couple really big reasons why I believe that. So the first one is, and this is something most people don't even realize, that if your car is on consignment, it is likely that your insurance does not cover your car. You would have to actually talk to your insurance to validate this. In many cases, your car is not covered under insurance. So let's say that they have someone go out and take a test drive on your car and they go and crash it. It may be that you're holding the bag. Obviously, in this particular case, you need to, number one, talk to your insurance and validate that it is indeed covered if it is on consignment. And number two, validate that the dealership that the car is at has some sort of insurance policy that would cover you, and make sure to actually get a copy of that, because I hate to say it, but at this point in time, I don't trust any dealership at their word without proof. But another reason why I don't think you should sell your car on consignment is because, from what I've been told, there's all sorts of weird legalities and interesting things about once you sign a consignment contract that gives authority to the dealership to do things that you might not be interested in. And one of those is that a lot of times these consignment deals actually allow the dealerships to sign over the title on your behalf or act as your agent to make this transaction happen, whether or not you really approved it. This is something that is a little bit legally gray, and I'm not 100% sure on it, so you probably should consult an attorney to get the details on it, but that's kind of the gist of what I've been told. Those two reasons alone, for me, in my opinion, there's no way I would consign any of my cars, not even my wife's Mini. I just simply wouldn't do that. So I think, honestly, if you're trying to get rid of a supercar, you're better off either trying to sell it outright or do a trade-in. And that's kind of your best options, because I think, number one, you're gonna get the best deals anyway. You're gonna have the least amount of stress, but you might have to do a little bit more legwork. Honestly, considering the risks, I think it's absolutely worth it. Are you tired? You look pretty tired. Yeah, there's not a whole lot of good smelling stuff in here. I just cleaned the garage, so there's not a bunch of leaves and debris. It's just kind of boring. I'm sorry. Yep. So I've also been reading up and digging around and watching videos about these consignment things, and there's actually an interesting video by Exotic Car Hacks about how these consignments work and how the dealerships actually kind of play the float with your money, and they might actually sell the car below what you actually wanted so that they can do these strange deals, effectively giving themselves temporary loans in a way. So all of these things being said, it just sounds shady. You might be at risk with your insurance, and they might do things that you might not want. So compile it all together, and I just basically see consignments as a huge red flag, as no way, don't do it, don't risk your car. Sell it in a different way. All right, so let's move on to buying a consignment car. And I'll admit, I've bought a car on consignment, and in hindsight, I look back at it and I think, holy crap, I could have totally been played or totally gotten screwed, and I didn't even realize it. So there's a few things that I think you need to look out for if you're gonna be doing a consignment purchase. So the first one is you gotta validate that the title exists and that the dealership probably has possession of it, and if not, that they will give you the information about where the title is being held, and you should actually verify that that title is being held by that particular entity, whether it's a person or a bank, and that they're going to be signing over the title as soon as they're either paid off if there's a lien, or as soon as the transaction occurs. And I would say that it makes sense to make sure that they're aware of this transaction even happening. Now, the reason we're bringing up the title is because this is where you run into problems where if they don't send you the title after a while, now you might not be able to register your car. So a great example is when I bought my Ferrari 599, I didn't get the title for about 3 or 4 months. Now, it wasn't really a problem because we had already pulled the transmission out of the car. It wasn't going anywhere, so I didn't really need to worry about registering it or any of that sort of stuff. I already had insurance on the car, but theoretically, the car could have been sold without the owner's permission or weird things happen. I don't know. From what I understand, in my particular case, it was simply that the dealership hadn't pressured the owner to send the title. That's it. The owner just kind of sat on the title. So I could have been in a situation where I needed to go file for a lost or stolen title, and then I would have gotten one anyway because I had all the bills of sale and everything, but that would have been a major pain in the butt. And I'm glad I didn't have to deal with it. And thankfully, the dealership that I worked with was legit and on the up and up. It just simply was a matter of giving pressure to the previous owner to get me the title. Now, one of the things that I've thought about is if I'm buying a car that's on consignment in the future, I don't know if many dealerships are willing to do this. But if you're buying a car that's on consignment, and let's say that there's a lien on the car, I would actually try and make sure that the dealership is going to accept 2 wire transfers. One for the payoff on the car, and I'm going to literally send it directly to that bank. And 2, a wire transfer to the actual dealership so that that pays off the dealership, and they can then deal with any equity situation for the old owner. Now, that doesn't mean that the old owner is going to be taken care of, and honestly, at that point in time, I don't know that I can say that I care because I have done what I'm supposed to do. I've paid off the lien, I've paid off the dealership, so if the dealership screws the previous owner, that's fine, but then I would say then we can work on getting the bank to send the title directly to me and not have to have it go through the dealership. I think that might be a little bit wonky, and I don't know if many dealerships are gonna be willing to play that game, but I think I'm gonna try that in the future because I don't think it makes sense for me to just send all of my money straight to dealership if there's a lien on the car. Now, obviously, if there's no lien on the car, then you're gonna be sending one check to the dealership, and that's where it's kind of out of your hands. And if they wanna play this weird float game, there's not much you could do about it. So again, that's where it goes back to verify the title, verify that it's going to be sent to you, verify who has it. And honestly, after everything I've seen with the current situation unfolding, I would say be really strict about the timelines. If anything falls beyond what is legally required from the dealership, so if the legal limit is 20 or 30 days, whatever it is, and I think it varies by state, but let's just say it's 30 days for the sake of argument, and it's 31 days, call the DMV immediately. call the dealership and demand the title immediately. Do not wait. Do not let them get away with holding it for any longer. Immediately start your actions, because the longer it drags out, the harder it's going to be and the less likely it is that you're going to get that title. So the other problem is, let's say that they did do this transaction and didn't have proper authorization from the seller, the owner of the car. Then you might get into a weird situation where the seller is going to say that car shouldn't have been sold. They're going to claim it as stolen. They might get the car back. So you might have paid for this thing and now you're out everything. So what this all says to me is, when it comes to consignments, do not sell your car in consignment. And if you're buying a car that's on consignment, be very, very careful. And obviously you need to do lots of homework, that the dealership is on the up and up. Maybe it's a dealership you've already got a relationship, maybe you've bought many cars with them, but even then, think about the history of what's gone on in these particular situations. They had long histories of things going right, and then they didn't. So that's where you gotta be careful, is you don't wanna be the first one that they decide to do something wrong with, because then there's no evidence, there's no previous histories, there's no Google reviews, there's no BBB reports, there's no Yelp posts. Now you're the first one. So it just, yeah, it's tough. It's tough. It's tough. It's scary. And honestly, this makes me just think, I am going to potentially avoid most consignment deals in the future if I'm buying a car. Obviously, you want to ask up front, is this a car that the dealership owns, or is this a car that is on consignment? So step one, find that out, and then figure out how you want to play out the situation. So again, what I'm going to tell you is the same thing I said at the beginning. I think it's really worthwhile to hire myself or someone who does what I do. There's other people out there that do this. Find someone that you trust to be your advocate and to help you with these transactions, someone who's dealt with lots of stuff before, especially if you're a first-time buyer, because believe me, the emotions that you're experiencing are gonna kind of cloud your judgment, and people get googly-eyed and they see a bright, shiny car and it's amazing and it's everything they've been dreaming about for their entire lives and all this stuff. It's really easy to overlook lots of stuff, let alone have to deal with all these confusing transaction details and other things like that. So ultimately, like I said, hire someone, get a consultant, make sure that they help you out. It's worth the money. And so if you want to hire me, again, go to normalguysupercar.com and check out my consultation services. But hopefully you guys are in a good situation, and hopefully we don't hear about too many of these terrible situations in the future, because I'll be honest, I'm exhausted trying to have dealt with this and help people and all that. It's been really heartbreaking. Moving forward, hopefully we have more good stuff to report on. We will continue working on these cars. I have parts for my 599 being manufactured right now, so we're gonna get that conversion going really soon. You're gonna wanna see that, so trust me, you really wanna see that. You should subscribe to this channel so that you get notified when we start working on that. Again, give me the thumbs up if you like this video, and we will be doing lots of car stuff. It's gonna be sweet. Hi, Momo. What you doing, buddy? Hi. You look tired. Want to go inside? Okay, let's go inside.